Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. It is Monday, and I've got a big video here lined up. I've got actually quite a few. I might record several this afternoon and have to schedule them out. But we're going to be talking about Cardano, and we're going to be talking about it in terms of why I believe it could actually hit 20 bucks, maybe even more. And it's not clickbait, and I'm going to explain it all in this video. So make sure you watch it through the end. I'm going to be reacting to a video. There's a lot that's going to happen in this video, and I think it's going to be worthwhile, especially if you have any interest in Cardano whatsoever. I think this video is going to put a lot of things in a perspective for you. I know the grand argument is, oh my gosh, there's so many ADA in circulation. How would it ever get to, $8, $10, $15, etc.? And I'm going to explain to you exactly how. Because if you look at Cardano and the technology that has been painstakingly developed since, 2015, really, I think is when it was first conceived, mostly on paper, but brought to light initially in around 2017, and it's just continued to hit milestone after milestone since. If you look at Cardano like a black hole for all other cryptocurrency assets that have come and gone, tried and failed, I think a lot of this video is going to make sense. So let's go ahead and dive into this. First thing on the agenda here is a murderofcrows.io. You can check that out. This is my own collection of NFTs. And I'm also getting ready to launch Crow tokens, which is basically the best shitcoin on Cardano. Just another fun thing. Who knows what's going to come of it. Talks about the Twisted Times puzzle and the challenges there. To this date, nobody's solved all 24 of these yet. So the treasure chest is still available for anybody with the mental capacity and the community to unlock the puzzles. And what I am doing is I'm actually trying to reach out to Mutant Labs about setting it up so that you can stake your Murder of Crows and generate Crow tokens as a reward. And so I've been trying to reach out. I've sent them emails. I'm on their Discord. I don't know. If they reach out to me, great. I'd like to try and set up something. And then finally, you can set up your own Soblocks.com group. So Soblocks.com is also my social media platform. We're building it on Cardano for the world, but ultimately with the functionalities associated with the Cardano Layer 1 blockchain. And you can set up a group if you wanted to, and you can actually lock it to NFT holders. So you can restrict it. You can restrict your group by a policy ID for your NFT. So if you're an NFT creator and you just want to have a private group specifically for the people that hold your NFT, you can create a group that is basically walled off from anyone that doesn't hold your NFT, because you can log in with your wallet and it'll check your wallet, the policy ID, and so forth. So that's just a fun initial feature that we have for open beta at Soblocks.com. So make sure you check that out. Okay, now one of the first things I want to address here is this. This is a brief little statement by Charles Hoskinson. This is relating to Cardano's transactions per second. So we're going to watch this real quick.
For the transaction models, people talk about TPS. With extended UTXO, you have transactions per transaction. One transaction could be hundreds of transactions.
Okay, so that right there, I want to make sure you understand, because there are things about Cardano that people don't realize. I forget myself often, because when you are surrounded by thousands, tens of thousands at this point, of different cryptocurrencies in the space, and they all kind of focus on this niche or that niche, and they make this claim and that claim, and they all do different things. Even some of these layer ones, we see Polkadot. I've always considered Polkadot a bit of a niche layer one, but when we're talking about transactions per second, a lot of people equate that to one-to-one transaction. So I send you ADA, that's a transaction. And that is the way that the vast majority of blockchains out there work right now. However, Cardano has been built with so many different feature sets to enable a more enterprise solution on a global scale. This isn't something that's being built in someone's basement. There are teams, multiple teams, hundreds of people developing this, studying, researching, writing these papers, these peer-reviewed papers. Other people are studying and checking. And I mean, there's so much going on. It's a very involved process, which is why Cardano didn't just launch in 30 days because it had a cool idea. It decided to get a bunch of capital and like throw caution to the wind and then just spend the rest of its days trying to patch holes like a sinking ship. It's not what Cardano's done. It's been the polar opposite of that. When they put something out, it's good, it's solid, it's secure, it's all these things. But a lot of people don't realize that Cardano's transactions per second doesn't mean a one-to-one transaction. It means there could be 1,000 transactions in that one transaction. So you can have a bunch of people doing a lot of different things, and it's all going to the block as one single transaction. So the idea is, you can have, let's just say you had 100 transactions per second. Well, that could be 100,000, okay, as it sits right now. That could be so many more transactions than just what is reading to the general population as we try to compare it to other blockchains in the space. So I wanted to make sure that was very understood and fully known. Now, another side note to that is Hydra. With Hydra, you're talking about each node, okay, each Hydra head being able to handle up to 1 million transactions per second. Now, as I just explained, that 1 million transactions per second per Hydra node also means you can extrapolate that out to any number of transactions happening within each of those transactions, if that makes sense. You have to think about this in a grand global scale. That is what Cardano is being built for. Cardano has been built to empower and provide the tools and the assets necessary to create global financial economies in places that don't currently have one, and then leapfrogging them ahead of everyone that's still caught up in the old ways of doing things, okay? And we're seeing that also means the old ways of doing things on the blockchain. So many of these blockchains out there are not really decentralized. Cardano is. It's one of the very few that is actually a decentralized blockchain. So many of these applications and layer ones out there, they say one thing, but they function in another way. And a lot of people are starting to open their eyes and realize that. Now, the transactions per second and that throughput is significant, especially when you consider that Hydra is ultimately, each Hydra head can be one node. So I could run a Hydra head on the Crow node, which I've just improved things up to 1 million transactions per second, and so forth and so on. Now, in total, there are active pools. There are 2,898 nodes right now. I know at the height of the market, there were over 3,000 nodes. So if you look at this is 2,898. That's the number of active nodes right now. Total stake addresses, 1.281 million, okay? So that's pretty insane. Now, you're also going to be able to see this metric here. Currently, 23.15 billion total ADA staked at the moment. All right. Basically, it's 67%. Now, you'll also remember that at the height of the market, we were somewhere around 74% of the total circulating supply of Cardano being staked at any given time. That's significant for a reason I'm going to bring up in just a second. But so keep that in mind. So one transaction could ultimately be 1,000 transactions. Each Hydra head is ultimately going to be, basically the potential for throughput and scalability on Cardano is almost infinite. Okay, for every new node that comes up to secure and support the network, they bring in new users that are staking their ADA to the node, blah, blah, blah. But the people that are staking their ADA to a node doesn't mean they are locked up. All other blockchains, I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments below. Tell me how many blockchains out there provide a staking solution for holders that doesn't require you to lock your tokens up for a period of time. With Cardano, you just basically, you go to like Crow Node, CROW, delegate, my wallet, confirm, spending password, submit, boom, you're delegated. It's secure, and you have full access to your tokens, because what's happening in that moment is you're basically saying, I want my tokens to be represented by this node, but if I want to go buy a Snickers bar with my ADA tomorrow, that's okay, because what happens is I'm able to make that transaction. That transaction volume is ultimately reduced from the total amount staked to the node, but I'm not locked in. It doesn't say, well, you have to wait 6 months for you to get use of that ADA again. Okay, that's not how staking on Cardano works. Whereas a lot of other tokens, even Ethereum, they say, yo, you're staking your Ethereum for a 5% yield, well, or even an 8% yield. You have to keep it locked for a year, 2 years, however long. And so a lot of these different layer ones are adding that to their TVL, their total value locked. Now, if we look at Cardano's TVL right now, you can see that ultimately it's sitting at 177 million. All right. Well, why is it so low? And a lot of people are, and I've done this myself. I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's getting there. I mean, it was at a peak. It was, let's see, what was it at its peak? 420 million. Okay. And that was also probably around the time that, there was about 70. I'm pretty sure it was closing in on closer to 80% of the total Cardano in circulation being staked, right? Now, but right now we're seeing 67%. It's about 23.15 billion. Well, guess what? If I take that 23.15 billion and I multiply that by the current price of around 37 cents right now, we get $8.5655 billion. So $8.5 billion on top of the current TVL of around 800 or 177. And that is ultimately what your actual Cardano TVL is right now. Okay. Does that make sense? Because because you're not having to lock anything up. What happens is that when you deposit your Cardano into your wallet, you stake that to a node, it takes roughly 2 to 3 epochs. Okay, so let's just say 3 weeks. All right, it's almost like starting a new job, right? You don't get your check your first week. You gotta wait a few weeks, right? You get your first check, and then when you quit or you get fired or whatever happens, you typically have one more check at the end. That's how staking works on Cardano. So because you're not locked into anything, you can use your Cardano any way you want in the interim, from the time you delegate to a node or the time you undelegate it. You take it off, but you're not locked up. So the equations related to TVL don't represent the amount of ADA actually staked to nodes. If you were to do that, you would have over an $8.5 billion TVL on the Cardano blockchain. Now, all these points made, these are some of the key points that I wanted to address to make sure that everybody knows. Now, I'm going to play a video from someone else that I think is going to help put some other things into perspective that I think are a really big deal. This is on CoinPost. He's only got 1.41K subscribers. I don't even know if this is an AI thing, but the information here, I'm not even playing this whole video, but I wanted to get through some of the finer points in this, and I'm going to address some of these things, and then we'll be good for the day, and I think my point will have been well made. So here we go.
Have been a lot of silent problems going on in the Ethereum network lately, and Cardano looks like a great alternative. Next, you'll find out why. Today, the Ethereum network was unable to confirm blocks for an hour. Everything is working normally now, but the reason has not yet been confirmed. The most interesting thing is that this is not the first time developers can't explain strange things happening in the Ethereum blockchain. Here's another case. On April 19, a hacker stole $10 million in ETH tokens from old wallets, but no one has figured out how it happened. The biggest concern for ETH holders is that these were wallets of users who were very worried about security. That is, they weren't newbies clicking on third-party links. Most likely, these wallets were stored on hardware devices, but were still somehow hacked. Many have already forgotten about this event, but it puts into question the security of storing assets on the Ethereum network and in Ethereum-based blockchains such as Arbitrum or Optimism.
So now we're not finished, but that's just one key point right there is security on Ethereum. How many times have we run into hacks and different things related to Ethereum? Many, many, many. Don't even get me started on some of the other blockchains, okay? And so when we're talking about Cardano, we're talking about one of the most secure blockchains out there, and there's a multitude of reasons for that. All of these things are getting somewhere, okay? Because when you look at all of the different issues of other blockchains, you know, to me, Ethereum, while it's basically first to market for smart contracts, is also probably, in my opinion, one of the weaker blockchains out there today, because third generation technology is being built around everything that's been learned from Ethereum that Ethereum just still can't seem to fix with all this abundance of layer twos that everybody's working on to try and patch the holes in the ship. That's a problem with being first to market. First to market means, yeah, you make a lot of money, but in long-term stability and use, it wanes over time. And the only thing, in my opinion, that's holding Ethereum up at this point is the sheer amount of money and capital that has gone in early to build applications to run on this Ethereum blockchain because of its smart contract technology, even though there's far superior technology available. The money's already in Ethereum. So now we've got new generations of money coming in and entering the space that are building up the third generation of technology. But as these third generation technologies, primarily Cardano, in my opinion, obviously, continue to build steam based off of its prowess, its capabilities, functionalities, all of these different things that make Cardano what it is, the money is slowly going to start filtering out of these other layer ones like Ethereum, Solana, and the rest, as people really start to see the holes in the ship that cannot be patched efficiently or effectively, for that matter. So we're going to continue on with this a little bit.
How do you think Cardano is better than all Ethereum-based blockchains? Here's a simple example. During the last 3 weeks, meme coin mania led to a 10-fold increase in the cost of commissions on the Ethereum blockchain. Users were paying $100 just to exchange on Uniswap, and someone paid 64 ETH or $120,000 for one transaction. Okay, but how were layer 2 blockchains on Ethereum doing if they were supposed to reduce commission fees? Spoiler alert, just as bad. Commission fees on Arbitrum, Optimism, and ZK Sync era were as high as $7 to $8, when they should be 20 to 50 cents at most. And this is in spite of the fact that the network load was not particularly large. And imagine how the commissions on Ethereum and other blockchain networks will surge during a bull market. These networks will all become very expensive and inefficient to use. All in all, we see a situation where Ethereum is not able to handle the current load, plus has security issues. That's why I believe Cardano will be able to poach the audience and, most importantly, liquidity from Ethereum in the next few years. How and why this is going to happen and...
Okay, so I don't want to completely show whoever this is their whole video. I wanted to just basically point to some key facts. The video is about 8.5 minutes long, and there's a lot of good information in here. So check out CoinPost. He only has 1.41 thousand subscribers. Go subscribe, support his video. I'm not trying to take credit for anything. I think he did a hell of a job on this video. I don't even know who this person is. And it sounds like an AI voice. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not trying to insult anybody either. But anyway, I think you get the idea, okay? Now, I've got a couple other videos that I'm going to be working on. One of them is by 2030, which is basically there are so many different things happening in the world, okay, all over the world, in all facets of technology, science, you name it, that are ultimately planned to come to some sort of culmination by 2030. And I think it's scary, exciting. I'm not sure what to make of everything. For all I know, we're all going to be imprisoned in little boxes with a tube sticking out of our neck so that we can all pump up the matrix, or we're all going to live happily ever after for 3,000 years. I don't know what to expect. Some of it is very scary, but what I do believe is that I've got a couple of videos coming. I also have a video coming about other blockchains that you don't know anything about, that a lot of the big wigs, the major corporations and the institutions are using under the radar that you can't even get access to. And that is a pretty big deal. I think people need to understand. But ultimately, if you look at all of these different things associated with Cardano as it relates to other blockchains out there that so many people know and love, but hate at the same time, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this liquidity, volume, functionality, adoption start spilling away, and like a black hole in the universe, Cardano is just going to start sucking everything into its core and spitting it back out in a much better way. And I really do believe that that's ultimately what's going to happen. We're already seeing it. We're still, I mean, at the tail end of a bear market. And we're already seeing this transition happen in NFT collections and other things. People cannot function on things like Ethereum when transaction fees are so exceedingly high. We just can't. Now with Hydra is ultimately going to start lowering the transaction fees on even Cardano. So instead of like 1.5 ADA for a transaction fee, we're going to be able to start supporting microtransactions on the Cardano blockchain and auctions and things like that. So there's more functionality coming with lowered fees for that new functionality. I'm telling you, between now and the next peak of the cryptocurrency cycle, I'm thinking sometime in 2025, I really do believe that Cardano is going to ultimately become one of the number one. If it's not in the top 3, I will probably crap myself. It could even go higher than that. And by 2030, I think it's going to flip everything else in the market. So that's my opinion. And I do believe that absolutely anything is possible, because the one final point that I want to make when we're talking about Cardano and its price, it's not about the price of all the tokens in the Cardano circulation. That doesn't matter. What matters is the number of ADA that is on exchanges being traded at any given time. So if you've got 80% of your total circulation locked up in nodes that's not really locked up, but they're staking there, generating a passive return for the long-term holders, okay, which that number continues to grow exceedingly over time. But if you take what's left, that is what the price action is built on. And right now, the tokenomics of what Cardano is available on the exchanges is very close to Polkadot. Polygon Matic, I think. I just did a video on it. I can't remember. Polygon, Polkadot, I get the two confused. But their tokenomics are very similar. So what happens with the price action on the few tokens left on the exchange is what dictates the price for everything else on chain and storage, and you get what I'm saying, and circulation. What happens at that point is the sell pressure from those who maybe there have been people out there who bought in at 2 cents and the price gets to $5. Well, that sell pressure continues to grow as people say, you know what, I'm going to take this. This is life-changing money. I'm going to go ahead and sell. I bought it at 2 cents. I'm going to sell it $5. So that is about, if we were to map out, I wish there was a way to take metrics of who bought what when, because it would be a much easier an easier way to study what kind of slippage we would see as the price changes over time, as it relates to previous cycles. What percentage of gain inspired this group of people to sell, that group of people to sell? Then we'd be able to get a much more accurate idea as to what the potential price peak could be in 2025. But ultimately, I think absolutely anything is possible, especially as we continue to suck up market share of other competing blockchains that are not likely to fare as well because their technology is still lacking even after all this time. So until next time, guys, crow your coins, enjoy your Monday. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that share button even, and spread the gospel of Church of Cardano. Until next time, crow your coins, and I'll see you soon.